Good morning, everyone. To start, I want to address some of the questions that I received during the week, and I would try to walk you through the process of troubleshooting those issues when you see it, anytime you are working with your project. Yeah, so based on the questions that I received throughout the week, we are going to start. I'm going to demo how to resolve those issues. Then at the end, if you guys have any questions, we can address the questions you have. Let me open. Okay. The first question that I received during the week, I had multiple people had the same issue, is when you are working with your Terraform project. And let me open one of my Terraform projects here. When you are working with your Terraform project, then let's say you open your terminal to apply Terraform. Here, I'm going to type Terraform apply. Let's say you type Terraform apply and press enter. So anytime you type Terraform apply and you press enter, as you guys know, in our project, we are using DynamoDB table to lock our Terraform state. What that means is that when we are applying our Terraform project, which we are saying that when we are using Terraform to create resources in our AWS account, we don't want someone else creating resources in the same AWS account at the same time. So pretty much whatever resources we are using our Terraform code, this Terraform code to create, you don't want someone else using the same code to create the same resources, or just someone using the same code to create the resources in your AWS account. And you guys always have to think along the lines of, at your company, this code will be stored in a repository and multiple people will have access to it. So at any given time, different people can be working in the same repository, making different changes. So as they are pushing their changes and trying to apply their changes, you don't want to have multiple people applying the resources in the AWS account at the same time. That is the purpose of the Terraform state lock. This means that when we type Terraform apply, it will lock the state, meaning that only our state, what we are doing, will be able to apply the changes into our AWS account. And once that is done, it will unlock it. Then other people can apply their changes. And when they type Terraform apply to, it will lock it until they have applied whatever resources they want to apply. So here, when you type Terraform apply, it has automatically locked the state now. So what happens, how you guys run into the issue is here, it is asking me, do I want to apply the resources? So here, I can either type yes to apply the resource or type no. But if you click out of it by just killing the terminal, you remember now Terraform has locked your state and you just killed the terminal without giving it a response whether you want to apply your resource or not. Now, if you open back up your Terraform project again, and let's say I try to apply Terraform, that's when you get this issue with the state lock. So it is not just when it has that response, whether you have to type yes or not. You could be running Terraform apply, and in the terminal, it is showing you that it is creating all the resources, right? You could be running Terraform apply and it is creating all the resources. If you abruptly kill the terminal before Terraform finish applying all the resources, it would also lock the state. Remember, once you type Terraform apply, it locks the state. And it would not unlock it until it has finished applying all your resources. So the easiest way to resolve this issue is, the good thing about our project is we are using DynamoDB to lock our Terraform state. So one of the ways you can unlock the state is here, you can see the lock ID. And there is a Terraform command you can use to unlock your Terraform state. I believe the command is Terraform force unlock the lock ID. If you type that command in here, it should lock it for you. But sometimes it probably won't unlock it. So the easiest way you can unlock it in our project, because we are using DynamoDB table to lock our Terraform state. Since we are using DynamoDB table to lock our Terraform state, the best way and the easiest way you can unlock your Terraform state anytime you run into this issue is go into your AWS account. Then here in the search box, type DynamoDB. select DynamoDB under services. Once you are in your DynamoDB dashboard, here, select Explore Items. And here you will see, so this is on that table. You are going to click Explore Items. And here you will see the table we are using to log our Terraform state. The name of this table here, Terraform state log, corresponds with the name of the table, the name in our backend. So here, if we go to our backend, you see our DynamoDB table, it is called Terraform state log. That is the same thing you are seeing here. So once you find the table you are using to log your state, here, you are going to see all the items in the table. The best way to recognize which one you need to delete is, if you look at all these items, these are the different times that I've used this table to log my Terraform state in all the projects that I've been creating. But at this given time, this is the current one that is currently logging my Terraform project. When you come into your table, I'm saying under info, if you see another additional information here, this is the current state that is logged. So this issue that I'm having here is caused by this. This is what is locking my Terraform state. So once you come into your DynamoDB table, if your state is locked, you will see under info, one item in the table that has extra information. So all you have to do is just select this, select the drop down under action and click delete items, then click delete. So that should unlock your state. Now, if you come back to your Terraform project, in your Terraform project here, I'm just going to type Terraform apply again. And you can see the state is unlocked. So that is the easiest way to address that issue. And if I abruptly close this again, the terminal, and I open it, then I type Terraform apply, my state is locked again. Then in this table, if I click refresh, you can see there's another item in the table that has information under info. Just go to that one, select it, right click here, select it, under actions, select the drop down and click delete items. My Terraform project, I'm going to type Terraform apply again, and the status. That is how to resolve that issue. The other demo that I want to give is about configuring your credentials to be able to create resources in AWS Programmatically. So basically, as you start working through all your projects, or as you are learning about AWS and learning about building your skill set, there are certain things I don't want you guys to forget. There are certain foundational things you should not forget. In the last couple of weeks demo, we talked about how to create key pairs and understanding how key pair works. So when you run into an issue where you can't SSH into your EC2 instance, you know where to go to address those issues. Another information that I want you guys to add to your skill set that you should never forget is how to authenticate with AWS when you are trying to create resource programmatically. To explain what I mean, you guys know that anytime you want to create resources in AWS, there are two ways you'll be interacting with AWS. One way is through the management console, which is where we are. So here, to create resources, you sign into your management console with your username and password. Then here you can go to any resource you want and start creating your resources. You guys are used to that. The other way you are going to be interacting with AWS when you start working as a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer is programmatically. The management console is only there for you when you start working to view the resources you've created. So the management console, your company will only allow you read-only access to the management console, meaning that when you start working, you can't come into the management console and click VPC and create a VPC from the management console. I can guarantee 99% of the time, you'll be creating resources in your company's AWS account using some type of programmatic method, which the popular one is using Terraform. How do you authenticate Terraform to be able to create resources in your AWS account? That is one skill you should add to your skill set and you should never forget. because when you get your laptop from your company, you will be setting all these things up. They won't set up your computer for you and how to authenticate with your AWS account. You have to understand how to set these things up. So remember, 2 ways you will be interacting with your AWS account at your job is 1, through the management console, which is here, you enter your username and password. The second way is programmatically. So let's talk about the programmatic way. The programmatic way just means that from my computer, I can type any command in my terminal to create resources in my AWS account. If you look in our Terraform project, that is exactly what we are doing. We are typing a Terraform apply command, and it is programmatically creating resources in our AWS account. So as you guys see, this code is on my local computer. It is not in AWS. And I am able to type a command on my computer to be able to create these resources in my AWS account. So to authenticate with your AWS account programmatically, the first thing you have to do is install AWS CLI on your computer. To install AWS CLI, it is very simple. All you do is go to Google and type AWS CLI. I'm just going to type AWS CLI download. Anytime you are searching for something, I want you to be as descriptive as what you are trying to do. So if you are trying to download AWS CLI, just type how to download AWS CLI or AWS CLI download. Usually in the cloud, one thing I like about this industry is any documentation you are looking for, it is, what's the word I'm looking for? You would find it. It is usually when you type something descriptive to it, it will be the first thing that pops up. So here, when I type AWS CLI download, this is the documentation. You can see it says installing or updating the latest version of the AWS CLI. I'm going to select it. Then here, under AWS CLI install and update instructions, find the operating system you want to install your AWS CLI on. Since I'm working on a Windows computer, I'm going to select this drop down on Windows and scroll down. So here they have several ways you can install the CLI. You can either run these commands from your terminal, or you can click this button here to download the executable file. So I'm going to click this button, and when you click the button, it will download the executable file on your computer. So all you have to do is go to the directory where you download the file to. It is usually in your downloads folder. Then here, to start installing it, all you have to do is double click it and follow the instructions. I already have it installed on my computer, so I'm not going to install it. But here, if you double click it, all you have to do is click next, 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 next. It is very easy to install. You just click next until you get to the end to install it. But since I already have it installed on my computer, I'm not going to continue with this. So that is the first step to authenticating with AWS programmatically. You must install AWS CLI on your computer. That is the first step. Once you have installed AWS CLI on your computer, to verify that you have installed AWS CLI, open the terminal on your computer, and I believe the command you type is AWS -- version. When you type AWS -- version and you get an output like this, that means AWS CLI is installed on your computer, and now you can use the CLI to interact with your AWS account. So that is the first step, install AWS CLI on your computer. The next thing you must do is, you guys understand, and I always want you guys to think of it in a concept manner. In order for you to log into your management console, you need your username and your password. So now that you are trying to use AWS CLI to interact with your AWS account, you need the same thing, not username and password, but you need some type of authentication credentials to be able to authenticate with your AWS account. So here, the way we authenticate with AWS programmatically is using what we call access key and secret access key. To get an access key and secret access key, you have to create a user, and the user is the same as the user that you are using to sign into your AWS account. But in addition to creating that user, You can also add another layer to that user saying that you want to allow this user to be able to authenticate with your AWS account programmatically. So you can have a user that can authenticate with your AWS account using the management console and also using programmatic method. So here, the next thing you will do is create an IAM user. In your AWS console, we are going to type IAM and select IAM under services. Then we are going to type users. Then in your IAM dashboard, we will select users. Then on the user page, we are going to click add user. Then we'll give the user a name. I'm going to call this user test user. So once you add the name for the user, here AWS is saying provide user access to the AWS management console. This is the option if you want this user to have access to the management console, meaning that you want this user to be able to use a username and password to authenticate into AWS and come into the management console to create resource. So if that is what you want, you are going to check this box. Once you check this box, then here AWS, they've changed this. So this is all new to me. So here is asking you to, are you providing console access to a person? Yes, we are provided. Specify a user in Identity Center. So here we are going to select, we want to create an IAM user.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I created an IAM user, so this is new. So here we'll select create an IAM user. Once you select create an IAM user, then you kind of see what the old console looks like, where here you can either auto-generate a password for that user, or you can create a custom password. So here I'm just going to create a custom password for this user. So once you create your password for the user, once you create a password for the user, you are going to click next here. Then here you can add the user to a group, but we are not going to add the user to a group. Here we are just, our main focus is creating an IAM user with permission. So here I'm going to attach, the first option is you can either add the user to a group, or you can copy a permission that is already from another group to this user, or you can attach a policy directly. So what this section means is we are creating a user, but what permission do you want to give this user? What permission do you want to give this user in your AWS account? So what do you want to allow this user to do? Here, I'm just going to say I want to attach policies directory directly to this user. Then here, I'm going to pick administrator access. So we don't run into any issues when we are creating our project. We've always used administrator access. Then we'll scroll down here, click next, and here scroll down and click create user. So now I've created an IAM user that is able to sign in into my AWS console. Here you can click this information to send the email to the person to be able to sign in, and this is the credentials the user can use to sign in. But that is not what we are doing in this lecture. In this lecture, we are talking about ways you can interact with AWS programmatically. So when you create your IAM user, if the user don't need to have access to the management console, for example, when you are working on your Terraform project, you want to create a user that strictly, you want that user to only be able to interact with AWS programmatically, then you don't need to give that user AWS console access. But here for demo purposes, that's what I'm doing. So we have created this user and we can click view user here. And here I'm going to click continue to view user. This is the user I just created, and the user only at the current moment only have access to interact with AWS by logging into the management console. So now if you want to give this user access to be able to interact with AWS programmatically, once you select the user to come into that user account, you are going to select security credentials tab here. Then on the security credentials tab, scroll down. Under the access key section, we are going to create an access key for this user. So here we will click create access key. Then it is asking you what type of access key do you want to create. We want to use this user to interact with our AWS account using the AWS CLI. So we will select this option, AWS command line interface. Then scroll down. and we are going to acknowledge that is what we want to do and click next. Here, you can type a description if you want. It is optional. So anytime you are going through the settings, AWS will tell you whether it is something you must type or if it is optional. So since this is optional, I'm not going to type a description. I'm just going to click create access key. And here we have created the access key for the user. So you will see access key here and secret access key. I want you to think of this as the user's name and the user's password. This is equivalent to how you guys use your username and password for the management console. It is a secret. So this is not something you want to share publicly. You should never share this publicly, because if you create an access key and secret access key, and I know what your access key and secret access key is, I can create resources in your AWS account from my computer by just typing commands in my terminal. So that is why your access key and secret access key are secrets. You should never share it with someone. Once you've created the key, here I'm going to click download CSV file to just download the CSV file for that credentials on my computer. This is the CSV file with that user's access key ID and secret access key. So that is the second thing you must do. Remember, we said to create resources programmatically, first, you must install AWS CLI. Then second, you must create a user that has programmatic access. A user that has programmatic access is a user that has access key ID and secret access key. Then the third thing you must do is you have to configure this user's credentials on your computer. That is how you are able to create resources in your AWS account. So when here in the terminal, when I'm typing Terraform apply on the back end, because I have configured that access key and secret access key on my computer, that is why I am able to create resources in my AWS account. So configure this user's credentials on your computer. All you have to do is open your terminal. Once you open your terminal, and I'll show you the two ways you can configure a user's credentials and how to use those methods. So basically what I mean is I'm going to show you how to configure a named profile and a default. I think people often get confused with that. So here, the first thing we are going to do is configure this user's credentials on our computer in a default way. To configure it, we are going to type AWS configure. Once you type AWS configure, press enter. Then the first thing AWS will ask you is to enter the user's access key ID. So we will go to the Excel file we generated, copy the user's access key ID, and paste it here. Once you paste it, press enter. Next, it is going to ask you for the user's secret access key. So we'll go to the Excel file again. We'll select the user's secret access key, copy it, and paste it here. Then press enter. Then it is going to ask you for the default region, meaning that what region in your AWS account will you be working out of mostly? I always work out of the US East 1 region. So whatever region you are going to be using, you just enter that region here. You can also leave it blank, but anytime you leave it blank, when you run your AWS CLI command, then you have to specify the region in your command. But it is easier to just add the region here. So that way, when you are running your CLI command, you don't have to specify what region you are trying to interact with. So here I'm going to type my region US East 1. And just to mention, the region it is asking you for here is the same as when you come into your AWS account. Here under this drop down, if you select it, you can see all the regions that exist in AWS, and the value it is looking for is the values here. So for US East Virginia, it is US East 1. So for whatever region you are trying to work out of, the value that is listed to the right of it, that is what you want to enter. So that is why I've entered US East 1 here. I'm going to press enter. And under default output format, I'm not going to specify any output format. I'm just going to press enter here. That has configured these credentials on my computer so I can interact with my AWS account. One thing I want to mention here is the act of typing AWS configure and entering your access key and secret access key is doing nothing more than creating a file on your computer. That is all this is doing. I'll show you that shortly. So Shola asked, how is the access key, a secret access key, handled when you have multiple engineers working with the same code? Yes, we'll talk about that shortly. So the act of typing AWS configure, I want you guys to understand that it is nothing more than a fast way of creating a file on your computer. So when you type AWS configure and you enter your access key ID and secret access key, your region, AWS is just using that information to create a folder on your computer and put that information in that folder. To show you that, I'm going to dock this here. And we are going to open the Explorer on our computer. So just open your Explorer anytime you are working with this. Then in your Explorer, I don't care what computer you are working out of, whether it's Windows computer or Mac computer, the directory that AWS has agreed to store these credentials we just configured here is the same directory for every computer. It is not different. And that directory will be in your home drive. So whatever the home drive is on your computer, on a Windows computer, it is the C drive. Shortly, I'll show you how to do the same on a Mac computer. But on a Windows computer, it is the C drive. Once you select your C drive, you come to Users. In Users, you will see whatever name is here. The best way to get the home drive on your computer is anytime you open your terminal always opens to your home drive. So if you see here, my terminal here, open to my home drive. So what I'm doing here is I'm selecting C. C corresponds with that C. Whether you are working on a Mac computer, it is the same method. Then you can see we have users here. I'm selecting users. Then we have admin. I'm selecting admin. This is the home directory on my computer. And in this home directory, when you type AWS configure, AWS has created a .aws folder in it. In that .aws folder, you will find a config and credentials file. This is where AWS stored this information. So what happens is when I go into my terminal and I run Terraform apply, Terraform is coming into this directory to verify those credentials. That is what is happening on the back end of how Terraform is able to create resources in your AWS account. So let's review the config file. So I'm going to right click on it and click open with. Then I'm going to open it with Notepad and click OK. You can see in the config file, it has entered the name of the profile that I configured, which is default. And it has entered the region that I configured for that profile, which is US East 1. Same thing as what I did here. Okay. Now let's review the credentials. I'm going to select it and click open with Notepad. You can see under credentials, it has configured the profile name, which is default. And here it has entered my access key ID, right? And secret access key. This is what is happening anytime you type the AWS configure command. So watch what happens here. If I come into my home directory and I delete this .aws folder and I come back into my terminal, I'm going to run the AWS configure command again. Then it is asking for my access key ID. I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here. Then it is asking for my secret access key. Going to select here, copy it, then paste it here, press enter. Then it is asking for my region. It is US East 1. Press enter. And it is now asking me for the default output format. Watch when I press enter, watch here, watch what happens. So I'm going to press enter here. You can see it created that folder again, the .aws folder. If you double click on it, in it, we have the config and credentials. If you open the config, you can see it is what I configured there. And if you open the credentials, it is the access key ID and secret access key. This is what is happening when you run the AWS configure command. And here, when I ran the AWS configure command, all I did is run AWS configure and I entered access key ID and secret access key. The next thing I want to explain is something I also want you guys to remember. Please don't forget. When you type AWS configure, you enter your access key ID and secret access key. You are configuring a default profile. That's why when you look in this file, the name of the profile you configured is default. This default profile means that you just want to run an AWS CLI command to create resources in your AWS account. That is what that means. So what I mean by that is, for example, if I type an AWS CLI command, which is, I think is AWS S3 LS. This is an AWS CLI command to list the S3 bucket in my AWS account. If I type that command, I'm able to see all the S3 buckets in my AWS account. This is a default profile. So what happens is when I type this AWS CLI command, it came into this directory on my computer, find the credentials and use that credentials to authenticate. That is how I am able to successfully run this command to list all the buckets in my AWS account. So don't forget that the default profile allows you to just run any command automatically. So watch what happens now if I delete this folder again. I'm going to delete it, but this time, and Shala, this is me answering your questions now. Then I'm going to run the configure command to create another profile. Then we are going to type both together, the difference between using this method and the next method I'm about to use. Let me clear my screen. Then I've deleted the credentials folder. And one thing about those folder is you can create the .aws folder yourself in your home directory, and you can create your config file and your credentials file. But when you create it, you have to make sure you put it in the formats that AWS expects. But it is always easy to just type it from here. So now I'm going to type AWS configure command again. But this time, instead of just typing AWS configure, I'm going to specify an additional flag, which is -- profile. So to answer your question, if you have multiple users within your AWS account that you want to configure a profile for, this is how you do it. You will specify AWS configure -- profile. And after the -- profile, you are going to type the profile name. So let's say I have a user. When you are working directly from your account, the only profile you have on your account is your credentials. But let's say you have 3 AWS accounts that you need to configure, and you have your user in all those 3 AWS accounts, and you want to configure your credentials on your computer to be able to interact with any account you want. This is how you would do it. You would type AWS configure -- profile, then you will specify the profile name. So here I can say Shola account 1. That is the profile name I've given it. Then I'll press enter. So once you type that, it will ask you for your access key ID. Let's assume this is the access key ID of the user in the account 1. You copy your access key ID, paste it here. Then you come back, copy your secret access key, paste it here, and press enter. It is going to ask you for your region. It is US East 1 that I'm using. Press enter. And it is going to ask you for your default output. We are not going to specify anything. Press enter. It has recreated the .aws folder again. Now, if you go into that folder and right click here and open the config file, you can see now the name of my profile is Shola account 1. And in the credentials, the name of the profile is Shola account 1, and this is the credentials for that account. But before we proceed, now watch what happens if I try to run an AWS CLI command, the same command I ran previously to list my S3 bucket. So here, I'm going to type AWS S3 ls and press enter. You see, it is unable to locate my credentials. The reason why it is unable to locate my credentials is because by default, and this is something I don't want you guys to forget. Remember I said earlier when I type AWS configure, that AWS configure command without specifying the profile is creating, let's call it like a global credential, a credentials that you can use automatically without specifying an additional profile name. So when you type AWS configure and you just type your user's access key and secret access key, you are creating a general credentials that you can just use. It is the easiest way to interact with AWS. But now I have created another credentials, but this credential is under a profile Shola account 1. So when AWS comes in there, it can't find your global credentials you use to authenticate. That's why it's telling you here that it can authenticate. So let's say I want to interact with the account 1. Then here, when I type my AWS S3, when I type my AWS CLI command, I have to specify the profile that I want to use. So let's say you want to interact with account 1, then you have to type -- profile. -- profile and the profile you want to interact with. So here, the profile I want to interact with is Shola account 1. So here I'm going to type Shola. So once I type the profile that I want to use to authenticate, now when I press enter, I'm able to authenticate. You guys understand that the default profile allows you to just type any AWS command without specifying -- profile, what profile you want to interact with. So again, watch when I type this is just typing a CLI command and I press enter, I can't authenticate. So what you can do if you want to just type your CLI command, I just want to type my CLI command. Unless if I'm working with multiple accounts, then I will set up each profile for each account. But let's say I'm just working with just one account and I just want to be able to type that CLI command. Then here I have to configure the default profile. And remember, to configure the default profile is just AWS configure. Once you type AWS configure, press enter. Remember, before I create this, if I right click here, just to show you. Remember here, the only profile we have so far now is the one I configure, which is this Shola account 1. So now I'm going to close this. So now I want to configure the default profile. So I've typed AWS configure. It is asking me for my access key. So let's assume you can use the same access key. You can use multiple access key. It doesn't matter. So here, the gist of it is it will ask you for your access key that you want to use to configure your default profile. I'm going to copy the access key here and paste it here. Press enter. Then it is asking for the secret access key. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Press enter. It is asking you for the region. It will be US East 1. And the default output format, we are not going to enter anything. I press enter. Now watch what happens in my config and credentials file. So now in my config file, if I open with Notepad here, you can see now I have two profiles, the default one and the Shola account 1. If you come into the credentials, there, the credentials for those two profiles will be stored the same way. So you can see Shola account 1. This is the profile for that account. The default profile, this is the credentials. So now if I'm going to clear my screen here. Basically what I'm telling you guys is these are the two profiles I've currently configured. So what I'm telling you that you should never forget is if I come in here and I type an AWS CLI command like AWS S3LS without specifying a profile name, that means that I want to use this default profile. If this default profile does not exist within your config and credentials file, this will not work. Because I've created the default profile, when I type this AWS S3LS now, when I type this AWS S3LS command and press enter, you can see that I can authenticate with AWS. And this command that I'm typing here is using this, not this one. It is using the default one. So just to prove that to you, I'm going to cut these credentials out of here and I'm going to save that file. Then I'm going to run that command again. See, it is not working. Now, if I paste that command back, save that file, run that CLI command again, it is working. If I want to use the Shola account 1, then I have to specify S3LS profile. Then the name of the account that I want to create my resources in. So here, I'm going to, it is Shola account 1. So I'm going to So now when I type this CLI command, it is using this credential to authenticate. So to address the question Shola had, that if you have multiple accounts that you want to configure and you want to interact with each account, all you have to do is just type AWS configure here. AWS configure -- profile. Then you can configure the credentials for the second account. So let's say the second account is Shola account 2. Press enter. It would ask you for your access key ID. Then at that point, you open the CSV for the credentials for the user you create in the second account. Here, I'm just using one credentials. It won't complain if it is the same access key, but you guys get what we are doing. You have separate accounts. You've created an IAM user in each account, and those IAM users have access key ID. So at the time when you are configuring those users' account on your computer, you just go to the right CSV file, copy the access key, paste it here. Then go back to the CSV file, copy this secret access key, paste it here. Then you will type your region. Then you will type your default output format. Now, if we go into our .aws directory in our home directory, here I'm just going to refresh. If I open the config file, now you can see I have 3 profiles: Shola account 1, my default profile, and Shola account 2. This is how you can set up the profile on your computer to authenticate with different accounts. And remember, the difference between anyone you see here that says profile and the name of the profile and the default is the fastest way to set up a credentials that you are telling any software you are trying to use to interact programmatically with your AWS account, is that when you are trying to authenticate, I just want you to use whatever I have saved under the default. If you don't have a default, then you have to tell it specifically which one you want to use. Do you want to use account 1 or do you want to use account 2? So is that clear? There is one more thing I want to show you guys how to now relate this to your Terraform project. So if it's clear, you guys can thumbs up, then I can show you the last thing I want to show you guys, then that would be it for this project. For the demo. Now that we've talked about how to configure the profiles.
That's a question.
Sure, go ahead.
What about for Mac users? How do we?
Okay, I'll walk you through the process for a Mac user shortly. Yeah, right after this, I will do the one for Mac user. Thank you. Yeah. So now that we have configured the profiles, I'm going to leave this open so you guys can see. In your Terraform project, I'm going to open a new project. So I've created a directory that I called demo. In your Terraform project, you will create, let me remove this. To use Terraform to authenticate with your AWS account, all you have to do is create this provider block in your Terraform project. So you specify provider AWS because AWS is the cloud provider you want to authenticate with. On that region, you specify the region. I'm going to remove the variable here, and I'm going to specify my region, which is US-East-1. US East 1. Then I'm going to save my file. When you specify, let me remove this so this doesn't confuse you. So this is what your provider block will look like when you want to use Terraform to authenticate with your AWS account. So basically, what I'm saying here is when you create a provider block in Terraform that looks like this, you are trying to use the default profile. You are using your default profile because here you have not specified any profile within your .aws directory. You are just telling Terraform, I want to authenticate with AWS, find the default profile that I have in my credentials. So here, when we type, I'm going to right click and open the integrated terminal. And first, let me save my file. And here, I'm going to type Terraform init. I know that's going to happen, but this has to do with my internet issue. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, so I'm using, my desktop doesn't have the Wi-Fi connector. So I'm using this USB as my Wi-Fi, and that USB is not powerful enough to download files. So anytime you guys are trying to init and you see this error just has to do with something breaking in your internet that it is not able to download the provider file. So yeah, just to start again, I'm going to open my terminal. So going back to what I said that anytime you configure your Terraform provider like this, without specifying the provider, you are trying to use the default profile in your credentials. So now if I type Terraform init, see, I've authenticated with my AWS account, and this used the default profile. So that's why I want you guys not to forget. What happens if I come into my credentials? My credentials open with Notepad here, and I'm going to delete that default credentials. Once I delete it, I'm going to save. Now, let me try to reinitialize. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to. Anytime you initialize, creates the .terraform folder. So you can feel free to delete them. And if you keep typing Terraform init, it will keep downloading it again. So here, now when I try to initialize, remember I've deleted the default profile from my credentials. Now when I type Terraform init again, so it is still initializing, but it is probably using some catch thing. And this I need to check on, but it shouldn't have been successful. But it's probably still like some type of, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure I'm not. Let me delete that. Maybe it still just checks in there and see whatever profile you have, but that shouldn't have happened. But basically what I'm trying to explain is when you have that default profile, that is what Terraform is using to authenticate with your AWS account. It's probably some catch thing that is still making it authenticate, because since I've deleted those credentials, it shouldn't be able to authenticate. But if I shut down my computer and restart and I try to authenticate, at some point it will fail. But the main thing I'm trying to explain is that when you type a provider like this and you don't specify a profile, that should be using the default profile. And since I deleted the default profile, it should fail. But maybe it is saving it temporarily somewhere on my computer that is still using the previous credentials that I used to authenticate. But at some point it will fail. So not to get distracted, in your Terraform project, let's say you have the default profile, right? I've told you that this is how you can use the default profile. This is one of the ways you can use it. But if you have another profile that you want to use the same way here, we've configured profile Shola account 1, Shola account 2. So let's say in this account 1 is where you are the Terraform project you are currently working on. In this account 1 is where you want to create the resources. Then in that case, under your provider here, you have to add an argument for profile. So here you type profile. In quotes, you will specify the name of the profile that you see in your config that you want to use. So if it's account 1, you want to use, you copy whatever the profile name you see in that config file, and you would paste it here in this quote. And once you paste it here, you save your file. So now, if you open the terminal and you run Terraform init, it has authenticate with your AWS account. And what I am saying is it is using this to authenticate. Then if, let's say you want to authenticate to account 2, then you can change this to account 2, save your file. And if you run Terraform init, whatever profile name you have specified here, that is the profile name it is using to authenticate. So that is it for Windows computer, how to authenticate on a Windows computer. Do you guys have any question?
No question from my end.
Okay.
Yeah, no question from my end.
I think the configuration stuff is one of the problems that we normally have when we're trying to set up our environment. So I think the lecture have put clarity on that already.
Okay, good. Now I'm going to show you, Henry, how to do the same thing on your Mac computer. So anytime you guys are having authentication issues, configuring your authentication issues with your Terraform project or running a CLI command, the main thing I want you to do is always come into your home directory on your computer. Remember, the AWS credentials you have configured is always on your home directory on any computer. You will see the .aws folder there. If you don't see the .aws folder, it means either you haven't configured it, and on a Mac computer, I will show you how to get this folder. But come here, you'll see the .aws folder. In that .aws folder, review your config file and credentials file. The two things you need to make sure is that in your project, you are using whatever name that is in your config file, and the name is exactly the same. The second thing is you have to make sure that the keys, the access key and secret access key that are configured for those profile exist in your AWS account. Because if I delete those access key in my AWS account, it won't work, because it is checking your computer and is also verifying, matching it to AWS to make sure that the access keys match what is in your AWS account. So that is how we can put this to rest about configuring your profile and being able to authenticate with AWS in a programmatic way. Give me a second to connect my Mac, then I'll show you how you can do the same thing on a Mac computer. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me while I'm trying to connect.
So if we need this video again, how do we access it?
I usually post it on my YouTube channel, and I would send the link to you guys. And there are all the videos for all the sessions we've done are in a playlist. And within the playlist, I've also add all the key points. So if you don't want to watch the entire 2 hours of the video, you can go to each areas of the videos where we are discussing any particular topic and watch it from there.
You're going to post it on the Slack, right?
Yes, I will. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So when you SSH into EC, it's not programmatic, right?
That's from my end. Just try it now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, that was from my end. Sorry. Go ahead.
Compared to what you are doing right now, is that not programmatic? What do you do? What's the difference?
What was your question?
So what's the difference if you SSH into EC2, for instance, with what you are doing right now? You're trying to provision infrastructure through programmatic way, like deleting some resources. So when you SSH into EC2, are they the same
Oh, no.
concept?
No, yeah, it's different. It's
Okay.
different. That's a good question. So when you SSH into your EC2 instance, for example, if we launch an EC2 instance and we SSH into that EC2 instance, we are trying to do administration work on that EC2 instance.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we are doing now is if you don't want to come here and say launch, for example, if you come into your EC2 dashboard and here you click launch instance. Here we are creating this EC2 instance using our management console.
Yes.
So what we are doing with what we just set up with the access key of programmatically interacting with AWS is we are saying that if I don't want to create the EC2 instance from the management console, but I want to create it using my terminal. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. The art of SSHing into the EC2 instance is just you doing admin work on that EC2 instance after you have launched it. What we are doing now is even the process of launching the EC2 instance.
Oh, yeah.
So the process of launching the EC2 instance, do you want to use the management console or do you want to use programmatic method? Okay.
That is connecting from your local environment to the AWS account.
Yes, correct. So when I say programmatically, I mean connecting from your here in this terminal to my AWS account. Correct. So on your Mac computer, if you want to do the same thing I just explained, which is interacting with AWS from your local computer. First, we talked about make sure you have installed AWS CLI on your Mac computer. So you go to that website, AWS CLI website, and you follow the steps to install CLI on your Mac computer. Once you have installed the CLI command on your Mac computer, the next thing you need to do is create an IAM user with programmatic access. So here in your management console, you'll type IAM, then select IAM under services. Then here, select users. You are going to create your user. I'll give the user a name. I'll call the user demo user Mac. Then this is if you want to give the user access to the management console. If you want this user to have username and password. For the user you are using to complete your project, you guys may want to use the same user to log in and the same user to interact with AWS programmatically. If that's the case, then you will check this box. Then here, you are going to specify, I want to create an IAM user. Then here, you can click custom password, create your password for that user. Once you create your password for that user, scroll down, click next. Then on this page, this is where you add the permission to the user, which means that what do you want to allow this user to do in your AWS account? Do you want to give this user access to S3? Do you want to give this user access to EC2? Here, we are going to attach a permission directly to the user, and we are going to give the user administrator access. Then scroll down and click next. On this page, this is where we just review what we've done. We have created a user called demo user Mac, and the user has administrator access. And here we are just going to create user. Once we create the user, this is the information the user can use to sign in into the AWS account. But we are not concerned with that. What we are concerned with is giving this user programmatic access. To give the user programmatic access, once you have created the user, click View User. Or if you come to your IAM page and you select users here, you'll see all the users that you've created. The one I just created is the demo Mac user. If you select it, it will bring you to the same page. Then you want to select the security credentials tab. Scroll down. Under access keys, click create access key. Then we are going to select the AWS command line interface because we want to use these credentials to create resources in our AWS account. Then scroll down here. We are going to click I understand and click next. We don't have to add a description, but if you want to add a description, this is where you will add it and click create access key. Anytime you create your access key and secret access key, one thing I forgot to mention the first time is it is only going to show you your secret access key once. So if you click out of this page, you won't be able to see your secret access key again. So if you want to get that information, you have to download the CSV file. So if you scroll down here, click download CSV file. It is going to download the file to your computer. You can see it downloaded it here. Now, once you have downloaded the credentials on your computer, you can open it. I'm going to click show in Finder. Here, I'm going to double click to open it. It has opened the CSV file containing my user's access key ID and secret access key. So now, once you've installed the AWS CLI on your computer, you've created a user that has programmatic access, which is the user that has access key and secret access key. The next thing you can do now is configure this user's credentials on your computer. So open your terminal. Remember I said on any computer, I'm going to close my terminal here. I'm going to open it. Remember I said any terminal you open, whether it's on a Windows computer or on a Mac computer, always opens to your home directory. So this is the home directory on my Mac computer. Whatever you see here on your Mac computer, that is your home directory. So you see this fish looking thing? That is the home directory on your computer. If you type pwd, it is telling you how to get to this directory using the Finder, right? So if you click the Finder, which is this face here on your computer, it is telling you that directory is the home directory, which is here. The Finder will open to the user, your user's directory. Then the next thing you want to find is your home directory, whatever name you see here. You can see mine is here. So this is where my terminal opens to on my computer. If you can see this home icon here in your Finder, I believe if you select your Finder here, then you select File, you select this. Your terminal always opens to your home directory. And sometimes when you open your Finder, this home is not here. I had to put it here myself. But if you, that's what I'm trying to find how to put it there. But if you can find the home directory there, you can just come under Go and click Go to Home, and it will also open the same thing. But I'm trying to find the option to dock it here. I believe it's Preferences, but I can't remember how I did it. So
I think it's one of your videos.
Yeah, I did it on one of my videos where I show you how to dock it here. So yeah, if you've seen that video, you can watch it there. Thank you. Yeah, but I can't remember how I did it again. But once you dock it here, it's good to always dock your home here so you have it here. So once you dock it here,
if you don't mind,
sure.
You open the Finder and you go to Preference and you enable the home folder.
Yeah, that's why can't I see the preferences here?
Go to the next to the Apple button and you click on Finder, and you click on Finder first, and you
see, mine is not showing the preferences.
Yours is Settings, not Preference. Click on Finder again.
Finder, okay.
Click on Settings. Yours is Settings, not Preference.
Oh, they changed it.
Yeah,
that's why, because it used to say Preferences. So yeah, so thank you very much. That's what I was looking for. So make sure once you open your Finder, make sure you click on this Finder. That will bring your Finder settings up here. Then you want to select the Finder here and click Settings. I was looking for Preferences. Then here, if you check this box, make sure the box for the home is checked. Once you check it, it would put it here for you. So anytime if I close this Finder and I click Finder again, it would always open the Finder and you can just click the home. So to continue what I was discussing, when you open the terminal, whatever you see here, that's your home. And here it is corresponding to this. So if I ls in here, you can see all the things you are seeing here corresponds with all the folders and files that are here. Okay. So we discussed that once you have opened your terminal to configure your AWS credentials, it is AWS configure and press enter. Once you type AWS configure, it is going to ask you for your access key ID. So open your CSV file, select your access key ID. Copy it and paste it here. Press enter. Now it is going to ask you for your secret access key. Select this, copy your secret access key, and paste it here. Press enter. It is going to ask you for your default region. Your default region, the default region that I'm using is US East 1. So here I'm going to type US-East-1. Press enter. Then for the default output format, I'm not going to type anything. I'm just going to press enter. So now I have configured the credentials on my computer. Remember, just like I showed you on the Windows computer, I said that the act of running this command is creating the .aws folder on your home directory on your computer. And in that folder, you'll find the config and the credentials file. So now I am in the home directory on my computer. Here, if you type ls, let me clear the screen. So here, to show you that I'm in the home directory, if you type pwd, you will see it will say users and whatever your home directory name is. Also, if you see this fish looking thing here, that means that you are in the home directory. Then in this home directory, if I type ls, I should see a .aws folder here, but I can't see it. The reason why is because anything that has dot before it means that it will be hidden. So that is why when you type ls to list what is in your home directory, you won't see the .aws folder because since it starts with a dot, it is hidden. To see it, you have to type ls space -a. Then if you press enter, now you will see everything in this directory, including the hidden folder. And here, now you can see the .aws folder. It is there. So when you type ls the first time, it is there. It is just not showing you because it is hidden. And when you include the -a, it will show you everything, including the hidden folder. So now, if you change your directory into this directory, so I'm going to type cd and the name of the directory, which is .aws. Press enter. Now I have changed my directory into the .aws directory. Now, when I type ls in there, you can see I have the config and credentials. To see what is in the config file, I'm going to type cat. Cat is the command. Let me clear the screen so it doesn't get confusing when you guys are watching it. Now I am in my .aws directory. To see what is in this directory, I'm going to type ls. You can see in this directory, I have my config file and credentials file. To see what is in the config file, I'm going to type cat and the name of the file. Cat is how you print the content of a file in Linux. So we'll type cat config, press enter. You can see in the config file, I have the default profile. It is showing you this other one because this is something this is a profile I've configured at some other point. But the one I just did now is this default one. Now, if I want to print what is in the credentials, I'm going to do cat credentials. And you can see it, the information here, default. And the other one, this other one is the one I've created before. So ignore this one. This is the one we just did, default. One of the a easy way to work with your directories is, I'm not sure if you guys have set it up on your Mac computer, but I will put the link in the Slack of how to enable this. So let's say you don't want to work in the terminal. You just want to open this directory in Visual Studio Code. Yeah, I've already set it up in Visual Studio Code that if I am in that directory and I click code dot and press enter, it is going to open that directory for me in Visual Studio Code. And I can just open those files. You can see the files are here, my default, and the credentials are here. So you can make the changes here, save it. It will update that directory for you. This is how you pretty much configure this on a Windows computer. And I mean, this is how you configure your profile on a Mac computer. So in your terminal, what I'm going to do is there might also be a way where you can enable the settings in your Finder to show you the hidden folders too. So that is something you can do a research on. And I'll also do a research on it, how to enable that option to show the hidden folder. So that way you can just see all the directories and folders that are in your home directories here. But I'm going to delete this .aws directory. So I'm going to go back to my home directory. To go back to your home directory, if you type cd, press enter, it will take you back to your home directory. You can tell you are in your home directory by seeing this fish looking thing here. Then in my home directory, if I want to delete that .aws folder, I'm going to type rm. That is the command to remove something. Then I'm going to type -rf and the name of the folder I want to remove. The name of the folder is .aws. Press enter and it has deleted. So here, if I type ls, I'll type ls-a. You can see in my the .aws folder is gone. So to get that folder back, all we have to do is run our AWS configure command. Remember I said when you run AWS configure, you are creating the default profile. So here I'm going to press enter. It is asking me for my access key ID. Going to copy my access key ID here and paste it here. Press enter. It is asking me for my secret access key. I'm going to copy it from here. Paste it here. Press enter. It's asking me for the default region. I'll use US East 1. Press enter. And it is asking me for a default output. My default output, I'm not going to enter anything. So now I have configured the credentials. The only reason why I'm doing this way because I don't want to close this. When you are watching it, it's the same thing. Don't get confused. So I've opened my terminal, right? I opened another terminal here into the home directory. So if I go into that home directory, I'm already in that home directory. So I need to go into I need to list what is in this home directory. So I'm going to type ls-a. Remember, the -a helps you see everything in this directory, including the hidden files. Now you can see the .aws folder there. If I cd into this folder, right, I've changed my directory into that folder. If I ls, you can see the config file and credentials file. I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to ls again. You can see the config credentials. To see the content of the config file, I'm going to type cat config. Press enter. You can see now, because I deleted the previous directory I had and I run the command again, now I only have my default profile that I configured there and the region. Now, if we cat what is in the credentials, cat credentials, you can see this profile. So remember, you guys don't forget it. I keep saying it over and over. The act of typing AWS configure without specifying a profile means that you are configuring a default profile. And we said that a default profile is a profile you can automatically use to authenticate with your AWS account. So here in my terminal, if I type AWS, this is a CLI command, AWS S3 LS. You can see I can list what is in my AWS account, just like I showed you on a Windows computer. And that is using this default profile. So to configure a separate profile, let's say you have multiple accounts and you want to configure a profile. Someone said pressing the command key, shift key, and command key and shift key at the same time will show you the hidden file. Thank you. I didn't know that. Thank you. So Lakon said that on your Mac computer, if you press the command key and shift key at the same time, will show you your hidden file. I'll try that later. I didn't know that. Thank you. So we talked about running AWS configure without specifying a profile name is the act of and period. Okay, and period. Okay, thank you. So we talked about the act of running the AWS configure command will create a default profile. A default profile is the lazy way of saying, I don't want to specify any profile. I just want to use whatever credentials I've put here. If you have multiple accounts that you want to be able to decide which account you are creating resources in, whether through your Terraform project, here to create the profile for those accounts, you would type AWS. Let me clear the screen. Here you type AWS configure -- profile. Then you'll specify the profile name. So here I can say profile name Henry 1. I press enter. Once you press enter, it will ask you for your access key ID. At that point, you'll go get the credentials for the account you want to set up the profile for. So let's assume this is the user in the account. We'll copy the access key ID, paste it here. Press enter. Then it is asking for our secret access key. We will copy the secret access key. We'll paste it here. Press enter. Then the default region, we'll type US East 1. So the US East 1 I'm typing here is the default region I'm using. So let's say if you want to use the different region, type the appropriate name here, press enter. Then for the default output, we are going to not include anything and press enter. So now in our .aws directory, remember we're in that directory. Let me clear the screen here. In that directory, if I ls, you can see my config file and credentials file. So if I cat what is in the config file, you can see I have the default profile I created and the Henry 1 profile I created. Then to see what is in the credentials file, we are going to type cat and the name of the file. Press enter. You can see for the credentials file, I type cat here. In the credentials file, I have the default profile, credentials, and Henry 1's credentials. So this is how you do the same on a Mac computer. So Edgar said, okay, thank you, Edgar. So Edgar asked the questions. Edgar said that since I said that I shouldn't be showing you guys my credentials now. So if you guys copy these credentials and configure it right now on your computer, you'll be able to create resources in my AWS account. So he's asking that since I said you guys, you shouldn't show it, how can we delete it? Good question. So if you feel like your access key has been exposed, which mine has, At the end of this class, I'm going to go delete it. To delete it, all you have to do is come into your management console, type IAM, then select users, then look for the user with the access key that you want to remove. The user in my account is the demo user Mark. I'm going to select that user. Once you select the user, select the security credentials tab, then scroll down. Under access key, you will see the user's access key here, and you can see that the status says active. So to remove this access key, select actions here, and first you can deactivate it. So we are going to click deactivate. Then I'm going to click deactivate. I've deactivated this access key. Now, watch if I try to run an AWS CLI command from my computer, AWS S3 ls. See, it's saying invalid credentials. Because even though we've configured that on our computer, when the AWS CLI finds those credentials on our computer, it is also matching it to what is in AWS to make sure that you are authorized to create resources in that account. So now that I've deactivated the access key in my AWS account, I'm getting an error trying to authenticate. So there's 2 steps to it. The same way you have to configure it on your computer, you also have to make sure that that access key exists in your AWS account. So once you deactivate it here, then the next thing you can do to delete it is just select action and click delete. It will ask you to enter the name, the access key ID, copy it from here and paste it here. Then click delete and it is gone. So if you want to create a new one, you just go through the process again, command line, and you create a new one. That is pretty much it for the demo I want to give in today's class. It is 1. If you guys have any questions, class is pretty much over now. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to stay around to answer any questions you guys have. But if you don't have any question, thank you. Remember, you can always reach me in Slack throughout the week if you have any question, and I will try my best to try to get back to you on time. Thank you guys and have a good weekend. But the main point before you leave today is the main thing you want to add to your skill set from today. You want to add the act of adding access key and secret access key, creating them, configuring them in your AWS account, and understanding how to troubleshoot them. This is something you should not forget. You can never forget. It is the basics of being a cloud and DevOps engineer. All right, so that is the main takeaway for today. So you can practice it in your own account and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.